Hi, my name is Bill Wiese. You know, many people have asked us, is tithing for today? And I want to say, yes, I believe it is. Jesus said in Matthew 23:23 and Luke 11:42, He told us we should tithe. But you know, my wife and I have just chosen to obey all the Word of God. And in 45 years of being a Christian, I've tithed, and I have never once had God let me down. I have never had a bill go unpaid, and I've been on a commission job for all these years. I don't get a check, a salary. And God has never let me down. Every bill has been paid, and I've never even been late on a bill. Now, that's not to brag on myself, but to brag on the Word of God. Now, it doesn't mean I haven't gone through some challenging times. I have, because we're all learning and we all make mistakes. I just want to share with you just two stories. One time when I couldn't make my house payment. It was due on the 1st of the month, and now it was the 29th. My payment was $1,800. And I was praying, Lord, you never let me down, and I don't want a late notice on my credit, a 30-day late. Well, I was at an open house praying, and a lady walks in. She says, "You're Bill Wiese." I said, "Yes." She says, "I've been looking for you." She said, "5 years ago you sold me my home, and I remember you cut the commission for me to buy it." I said, "How did you know that?" "Because you're the seller pays a commission, and you're the buyer." She goes, "I don't know, I just knew, and I don't know how much you cut it, but this morning I just felt to go and find you and to give you this money." And she hands me $2,000 in cash. Now, how many people would give you $2,000 in cash? And she was not a Christian. See, my payment was $1,800. That left $200 to tithe. Amazing. God came through at the very last minute. And another example was, you know, I was out of food, out of money. I had no more food in the house. I had $50 in change. So I took the change and I went and bought food and took it down to the poor, because God says to give to the poor and you will not lack. Well, I was home the next day praying because I needed some food, and I get a knock on the door, and a neighbor from 5 doors down knocks on my door. I had never met them before, and they said, "Listen, we just bought $500 worth of groceries yesterday, but we got called to Europe, so we don't want this food to go to waste. Would you like to take this food off our hands?" And it was all health type of food, which I eat. So I was so grateful for it. I gave $50. I got back $500 of food the very next day. God came through again, and I could go through story after story. You know, but Malachi 3:10 says, God said, "To prove Him, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing where there's not room enough to receive." So that's the only place in the Bible God said to prove Him. And He has proven it to me for 45 years. And also He goes on to say in that verse, "And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes." Now the devourer is the thief, the devil. He wants to steal our finances or cause things to break down in our household and so forth. Also the devourer is in our health. He wants to steal our health. Well, tithing is a protection against these things. But also the Lord wants us to tithe because it supports the church. And that's what we're supposed to do, is support our church, because they're promoting the gospel. That's part of our job. If you're trying to find a way to get out of tithing, there's something wrong with your heart. We should want to give more than the 10% because we have a better covenant established upon better promises. So we shouldn't be looking for ways to get out of giving. We should want to give more. You know, some people say, "But Bill, I just want enough for myself." Well, that's selfish. We need enough money for ourselves and to give for others, to help others. Now, in addition, the Bible talks about tithing in the Old Testament. It was also before the law. Cain and Abel tithed, and Abraham tithed to Melchizedek, and that was 400 years before the law. So yes, it's part of the law, but it's also before the law and after the law. You know, I've just chosen to tithe, my wife and I, and God has never let us down. But if you tithe, He will prove it to you that He'll never let you down. Your bills will get paid. God is faithful to keep His word.